say we have a right to breathe. You say clean air. We have a right to breathe. We have a right to breathe. They can't hear you. We have a right to breathe. We have a right to breathe. I'm Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, and I'm proud to be here with Congresswoman Debbie Dingell as we fight to protect not only our environment, but really protect our public health. You know, one thing that Tricia has always taught me, there's every single corner of our country relies on clean water, on clean air. And I will be remiss to not explain that something that I continue to say to my colleagues. You know, you say children can't learn if they're hungry, but children can't learn if they're being poisoned by dirty water and by dirty air. And we see that again, and the fact that right now the EPA was already underfunded. The EPA was already under-resourced. We all know that. And so it's incredibly important to understand right now they're just about to rip, again, the bare minimum of what we had in regards to oversight for corporate polluters around our state, not only Washtenaw County, but even in Wayne County, where I can tell you many of my constituents, many of my residents, you know, we have a Right to Breathe campaign because we're surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of air permits. And many of them still in violation, and they just get a slap on their hands, and you all know this. And they keep coming and wanting to expand, not even reduce their footprint. But I want to thank all of you for showing up. You know, many of our neighbors can't show up here. And many of you, when you do show up, you're bringing so many of the people on your block and people in your community. So thank you. Give yourself a round of applause for that. Thank you. Tricia wanted me to remind you all that Earth Day was created what is it?
55 years ago.
55 years ago. You didn't put that down, but okay. 55 years ago. And it was basically some of the protests and demonstrations during Earth Day created the EPA. But I also want you to know, exactly. But I also want you to know that it was the unions and the labor movement that helped us get the Clean Water Act and the Clean Air Act. Look it up. I mean, it is as incredible as they came together to demand, again, that we have an agency that oversaw much of, again, our right to breathe clean air and clean drinking water. So, as you all know, I grew up thinking, honestly, that smelling like, you know, rotten eggs was normal when you went play outside. I thought that many trucks going to Southwestern High School on 4th Street, that it was normal to have that many trucks rolling through your community. I thought it was normal that a third of my class had asthma. I thought it was normal that so many people had cancer, including my father. And so all that to say is that this human impact is real. You know, put together all the title and the public participation, the public hearing aside just for a minute. What the EPA stands for is because we saw what happens when we didn't have it. We saw what happens when we didn't have eyes on, again, our community. I still remember being pregnant with my second child, going door to door in my community, was trying to actually stop people from getting their homes foreclosed. And I swear that it was so unbearable. My nose hairs was just burning. And I knocked on the door, and I remember this family saying to me, well, it's just, this is the way of life, it's normal. I said, this is not normal. And of course, I banged, and there was the MDQ at the time, got them out. And I remember, Debbie, and the inspector showed up. And I was like, thank God. And the inspector showed up, and I said, George, look at this. How is this possible that you can stand right here and we can't even breathe? This is where people live. They can't even come out and play. They can't sit out on their porch. They can't have barbecues. They can't enjoy their life. That's what can result in every community. And they always think, oh, it's just going to happen in a community like mine in the city of Detroit. I'm telling you right now, it's throughout Wayne County, throughout Washtenaw County is at jeopardy right now in regards to what the administration is doing. And it's so reckless. It's so cruel in what they're doing. You know, as a member of the House Oversight Committee, I can tell you we're trying to subpoena Elon Musk. We're trying everything possible to use our committee process. You know, we even created a tip line for federal workers who have been incredibly courageous as they call, and again, and honestly, just telling us what is happening on the ground and hearing, again, things that we'll never find out but for the litigation and being in court and pushing and getting that information, as well as the work we're doing in trying to, again, create safe spaces for federal workers to tell us, again, what the Trump administration is doing. But it is important that we understand the power that we have, though. And I say this to you all because I grew up in the most beautiful, blackest city in the country, the city of Detroit. And every corner, there's a community mother that reminds me all the time that we didn't get the Civil Rights Act, nor the right to organize unions and transformative change in our country because of who was in the White House or who was in Congress. You know where we got it from? The streets demanded the institution move. You all have the make sure that we fight fascism 24/7, push back, and resist. Resist together, y'all. This is exactly what they don't want us to do. The more folks are finding out what is happening, I can tell you, both of our communities, we are seeing hundreds of people showing up that have never shown up to town halls, to engage, calling our offices. This is how we save our country, is again, making sure that people are participating in our democracy. Now, I'm gonna introduce my colleague, but I have to tell you, you know, it was a big, beautiful Michigan delegation, but she is that person that I call almost every single day. And sometimes I need to vent just like you all need to vent. And, you know, I sometimes am in disbelief. You know, as somebody that is a mom and wants to fix things right away, you know us moms. And you want to protect your community right away. And I want it to happen, and I want the madness to stop. And, you know, I have to talk through with her and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to engage more people. I'm going to do more contacts. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to John James District. I'm going to do everything I can. And, you know, at the end, you know, she's a reminder that she always says, well, we're double trouble, Rashida. They don't want both of us. Well, she says, we don't want both of us upset at the same time. And it's true. When they find out that we're both really, really angry, it's like, oh my God, here comes Rashida and Debbie. And so, but she really cares about, many of you live in her community. I can tell you when it comes.
You have calmed me down.
Yes, that's true. But I can tell you, many of you should know, it's not only around creating bipartisanship around PFAS and some of the incredible work. And you know, she's one of the, when I came to her and said, Debbie, I want to get the Let Out Caucus. You know, children are being poisoned. I have schools, Debbie, that have garbage bags over their drinking fountains. You know, and just a despair, like of thinking, my God, any amount of lead, any amount of those poison. You all know, many of you know, you're experts at this. There's more than just lead now. There's 11 plus contaminants in the water now. And I said, Debbie, I want to get the Let Out Caucus. So she's one of the co-chairs, and she said, absolutely, let's do it. So please give her a round of applause. And thank you all so much. I am on my way. 450 folks are coming and showing up in Macomb County. Residents came together because their member of Congress refused to have a town hall. That's John James. And they said, you know what, we're going to organize a town hall. And Congresswoman Tlaib, if he doesn't show up, will you come and answer our questions? I said, absolutely. So I'm headed to City of Warren. I'm incredibly proud. We're going to zoom in Senator Bernie Sanders, who's going to motivate the crowd. But we're going to make sure they know that, again, they have every right to be heard at all levels of government, but especially at the congressional level. And I'm really, really, again, grateful that they even thought of me and having me come. So please excuse me as I dash out to Macomb County. Thank you all for showing up. Again, I can tell you there are going to be a lot of folks in our community. When you show up, you inspire them. So keep doing that. Keep, again, speaking that truth. And again, welcome the amazing Congresswoman Debbie Dingell.